as well as gentlemen, Papa Boris is back for some more Hearthstone arena action. Here we have a choice, actually, of my not very favorite classes. No priests, mages, shamans, or paladins here. However, I do have a quest to win 5 games with Druid or Rogue, and I think it's been longer since I've done Druid. So let's go ahead and grab Malfurion and see if we can protect the wild. Well. Interesting choice here to start things off. Obviously, the Angry Chicken is not a playable card. However, Bite is pretty decent removal, and Stampeding Kodo is a very great creature. I'm going to make a crazy play here. I'm going to take the Stampeding Kodo. Bite is basically 4 damage for 4 mana, which is not that great. What's cool is that you're getting life, but you're going to lose some of that life when you smash the creature that you're killing with the Bite. So we'll take the Stampeding Kodo. Yes, it doesn't kill quite as many things as Bite does. However, it does put a body onto the board, and oftentimes it is murderous. Yeah. Well, you know what? Abusive Sergeant was actually pretty good for me. I mean, the Battlecry is kind of solid. Granted, the reason it was so good in my last arena is because I had it as a combo with Mirror Image, and that's a really nifty one, but I just don't think Nightblade or Wisp are remotely palatable. We have to take the Abusive Sergeant here. Oh, yeah! We get the Keeper of the Grove. This is seriously just like one of the best cards in the game. One of the Druid's best rares, I think, if not the best. I love this card so much. It's very flexible. It gives you a silence in your deck. It's a decent body. Note that the Keeper of the Grove has slightly smaller stats than the Spellbreaker. The Spellbreaker is the neutral card. It has Silence a minion, and he's a 4/3. This is a 2/4, so it's got 1 less stat point. But the fact that you can deal 2 damage just takes this card over the top. I mean, it's kind of like a Stampeding Kodo, but for things that have, 2 or less health, with slightly smaller stats and a lower mana cost. And of course, the Silence, when you need the Silence, you got the Silence. That's a great card. We'll take the Brewmaster here. We have actually every single one of the creatures we've taken so far is just awesome to Panda back. So rather than this mediocre taunt, we're going to grab the Panda there. Alright, well, this is a lucky day. Oh my goodness. As you know, I post all my videos win or lose. It'd be really hilarious if this one ended up totally sucking, but so far this has been quite a good draft. I have played a number of Druid arenas where I never saw swipe. So happy to see that right there. It's so good. Interesting choice here. I can take the overcosted Ironfur Grizzly because Druids have no weapons, or I can take Moonfire. This is not playable. I'll take Moonfire. You know what? Many a time, although this is a bad card, many a time I have found myself thinking, God, I hope he doesn't have Moonfire. So we'll take the Moonfire here. It's kind of like a poor man's backstab. Okay, epic time. The Molten Giant, as we all know, I am not a big fan of, but these other cards are just fan-fiddly-tastic. So the Ancient of War is quite expensive, actually, and you really can't use the attack option, I've decided. The +5 attack. I mean, you can, but you think about it like this. It's kind of like a Core Hound then. Core Hound is the neutral card. It's 7 mana, 9/5. It's awful. So, I mean, while there are occasionally times, like let's say the board is empty or something, where you'll use the +5 attack version on this thing, it is really awful because the 5 health is bad. So you really should think about this as a 5/10 with Taunt for 7 mana. And that is really difficult to get through. No doubt about it. But I'm going to grab Force of Nature. I think that this really flexible form of removal, which can be, buffed, and you kind of get to spread your damage out, or it's like a little miniature Druid's Pyroblast. I think it's just nice to have in your deck, and it's going to have more of an impact than the Ancient of War. But we'll see. That could be a mistake. Soul to Forest, I've talked about this. I'm really not a fan of this card. I mean, it is just an absolute blowout if you do have creatures on the board, but it's kind of hard to get that many creatures onto the board, and if you fail to, then this card doesn't help you get anywhere. I don't mind cards that are a blowout if you're already in the lead. I just want those cards to also be good, even if you're not in the lead. Let's take an example like Frostwolf Warlord. Alright, that card, he's bigger the more creatures you have on the board. So if you have nothing on the board, he's a 4/4 for 5 mana. But you know what? That's okay. Like, sometimes you just need to put a body on the ground. Like, it's not great. It's actually really bad, but you'll play him. It's playable. This is just absolutely unplayable if you are behind, so I don't want to take this. This card, Mark of Nature, it seems good. It's an attack buff. You can make a creature taunt. Very rarely have I felt playing against an enemy Druid that this card, blew me out. I think this is really good and constructed when you can build a deck around it. Let's say I have a Harvest Golem. Yeah, I'll give that +4 attack and run in and not care. Let's say I have, creatures that put other stuff into play, like an Imp Master, or maybe a Razorfen Hunter, or a Dragonling Mechanic, you know, maybe then. But this, just in an arena draft, putting it on a random creature and then having it die, it's just card disadvantage, and I'm not a big fan. We'll take the Loot Hoarder here for some card draw and for some early drops. Alright, still don't like this. This guy, he's just eminently ignorable. We'll take the Silverhand Knight here. He puts a lot of stuff on the ground. Oh, jeez. Well, yeah. So, Pirates. I'm really not likely to get Pirates. So this is just a 3/3 for 3. Great epic. Woo! This is totally unplayable. So I'm going to take the Molten Giant. I'm not a fan. But we have seen games where it was okay. So we'll grab him there. Wrath is fantastic removal. Let's pick that up. Savage Roar is also really good. I have to give some consideration to the Brewmaster here. I do have a lot of stuff. Godly, like this and this. Everything really just loves going back. Now, not the Loot Hoarder, but man, it's worth it to consider this. But this is removal, and I actually have been absolutely wrecking ball powerhoused by it. What's really amazing about this is that the more stuff you have on the board, the more damage it does. So let's say you have like 3 creatures on the board, and let's say you're just trying to win the game. This is 8 damage on your opponent for 3 mana, because you plus your 3 creatures. It's like another Druid's Pyroblast. So we're going to grab it there. It's removal, it's a Pyroblast, it's very nice. Okay, well, this is pretty much trash because it dies, and I hate this card so much. It's just too vulnerable for how cheap or for how expensive it is. We'll take the Razor Hunter. Not my favorite 3-drop, but it's alright. So, the Ooze is okay against weapons, but if you don't see any weapons, it's just generic. A lot of good players rate this Ooze so highly. I think it's an overrated card. Now, this guy's fine. You could deal some damage, and he's pretty sturdy, but I'm going to take the Imani Berserker just to have the strongest 2-drop in the game. Make sure we get that in there. Oh, man. Okay, I still don't want to take this overcosted Pirate, or Grizzly Bear. I might as well just take the Mark of Nature at that rate. I have some interaction with this now, with the Razorfen Hunter. Alright, we'll try it. I think in another life I would have taken the Stranglethorn Tiger, but I think it's important as you play Arena to try out all the classes' cards. So we'll try Mark of Nature in this arena, see how it goes. Okay, well, this is just absolute garbage. I still don't like Soul of the Forest. We'll take Power of the Wild here. Buff your creatures. That's really good. Now we've talked a lot about how Starfire is not that great, or not as great as people think it is. However, it's better than these 2 garbage cards, so we'll take one of them. I don't want any more, though, that's for sure. Second swipe, though, yes, please, I will take every swipe I see. Oh, tough call here. So Nightblade obviously is not the pick. Direwolf Alpha, I'm worried I'm making my deck a bit too chumpy. And I do need Taunt. I currently have none of it here. So Taunt, it's important not to overrate it, but it's also important not to underrate it. Being able to protect your creatures is nice. I'm going to grab the Warden there. Alright, well, interesting choice here. The Light Warden's obviously total garbage, trash nut, monkey awfulness. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards that are 5 mana or more, of which only 3 are creatures. So this might be nice to have as a finisher. But this is actually a really great 3-drop. I mean, sure, I have no healing in this deck, but a 4/3 for 3 is vanilla. And it's got 4 power, which is good against priests. And it kills a bunch of stuff. Well, we'll take it here for the early play here, and hope to get some stuff later on. Alright, the Imani Berserker is the best 2-drop in the game, but it's not as good as Silence. That is very, very good. I'm not going to take any more Marks of Nature. Let's take this. This is a bit chumpy, but the nice thing about it is it's good late game. You can buff your stuff, even if you buff just 1 creature with it. Even just 1 creature can sometimes make all the difference. I'm happy to grab those in multiples. Oh my god! Better than Silence? Yeah, we're going to take a 3rd swipe. Okay, this is a very strong deck. Now, here I can take Naturalize. I have lost to this card before. You just need to make sure that you mulligan it if you get it in your opening hand, and you don't play it until later in the game when you really critically need it. I'm going to grab it here. I have talked before about how I think this Frostwolf Grunt is underrated, but we'll try Naturalize. I've never actually played with it before, so we'll see how it goes. Ooh, well, this is tricky. Chillwind Yeti is a premier 4-drop. Raging Worgen's a premier 3-drop. I think we have enough removal with our 3 swipes and our 2 silences. And we got Naturalize and Moonfire. I don't think I need this necessarily. I think I'd like to get a creature. There is kind of a hole here in my 3-mana spot. I'm really only playing as creatures, the Blade Master or the Hunter there. I've only got 2 creatures that play at 3 mana. The other stuff is, removal and whatnot. So I'm tempted by the Worgen. The Yeti just does win games. It's much less vulnerable to removal than the Worgen is. But I have a Wrath. Wrath is a really good combo with Worgen. So is Moonfire, because you can all of a sudden turn on Wind Fury and deal a surprising amount of damage. So I'm going to grab the Worgen here, although the Chillwind Yeti may have been the better pick. I don't know. Wrath. You know, we're doing okay on removal. I need more taunt. I've only got the one creature, and the Sen'jin Shield Master is one of the best 4-drops there is. Since I passed on the Yeti, let's make sure we take the Sen'jin there. And we could use some more late-game cards, so the Frostwolf Warlord is a nice last-minute pickup there. Here I could take another Worgen. Interesting. I don't want the Ventricle Mercenary, because I did just take the Frostwolf Warlord. So the Raging Worgen, number 2, gives me a higher probability of being able to pull up some kind of crazy combo with Wrath or Moonfire. Claw, though, is removal, and you know what? I'm going to take the Claw. It's nice to have this removal for little creatures that are in the early game, but I may regret it. We'll see. Okay. Definitely not Wild Growth, not with this easy curve. Mark of the Wild, oh my god. I don't really want to play that card. I really don't want to play that card. I just don't want to play it. I guess it's going to be Mark of Nature here. 2 of them? Damn it. Yeah, I don't think I guess we could play like Education Time and try the Mark of the Wild, see how it goes. This card just never really impresses me that much when my opponents play it, though, is the problem. So we'll take Mark of Nature for some extra damage. This is like the 3rd Molten Giant we're seeing here. We'll take another Force of Nature and call it a day. Well, I think... watch me be wrong. I think this deck is incredibly strong. I think there's a lot of good cards here. Some of our epic picks were a little bit weak. The Molten Giant is not my favorite. And there were some picks I made that were tricky, like the Mark of the Wild, the Mark of Nature, whatever thing. I don't know how I feel about that. Taking the Worgen over the Yeti, that was tricky. Taking the Claw over a Worgen. I think I passed a Wrath in there for something. I think I passed a Wrath to take a Worgen. So anyway, some interesting packs there, but overall we saw a lot of really good cards, so hopefully this arena will go well. I just went to 9 wins with what I thought was a terrible mage deck. So we'll see how this goes. Now, the Abusive Sergeant, against most classes, I would keep it. However, mages are just going to kill it, so I need to pass it back. And the Warden is okay, but I've got sort of, you know, more aggressive stuff in this deck. Let's fish for some good cards. Okay, there we go. There. So this is nice, having both your silences, because it means that you can afford to be a little bit loose. Like, if, let's say, my opponent plays a Mana Worm or something, I can just silence it. You know, normally you wouldn't really want to do that, but here I can afford to. I don't want to play the Loot Hoarder because it does die to the hero ability. So it's kind of like I spent mana, then 2 mana, then she spent 2 mana, and then I drew a card to replace the card that I played. So we kind of both went nowhere, but I'd rather actually try to get ahead than to do this. Now this doesn't bait any of my opponent's removal spells. So it's kind of like, oh, what if she has Frostbolt? Well, she's not going to Frostbolt the Loot Hoarder. So I can't bait any removal spells in time for the Romani Berserker to be safer. So I'm just going to go ahead and play the Romani Berserker and hope for the best. Okay, my opponent seems to be awfully inactive there. Alright, she passed the turn. Romani Berserker definitely the right move here, because this could be saved for later. So I don't want to play it unless I have to. As a Panther. Playing this as a Panther, basically a 3-2 for 2 mana, like that's okay, but it's not, you know, great. So, like, it's fine, it's totally fine, but the +1/+1 is potentially a lot more explosive, so I will play this for sure on turn 2 as a Panther, if it's the only play that I have. However, I'm not going to play it if I don't have to. What is my opponent doing? She's clearly here, she passed her turn, she said hello, she's wiggling her cards. It's one of those slow people. Could be a new player, there's lots of invites going out. Alright, here's the coin. We've got Torn Warrior. Alright, so it's the same thing as what I have, just costing an extra mana and having a taunt. That's fine. Well, we got a couple of options here. I could run my guy in, use the hero ability, finish this thing off. You know, this is where I really wish I had Moonfire. The problem is that, first of all, I'm taking 5 damage to the face, 4 if you count the hero ability. And my opponent will then be able to kill off my Berserker, using her hero ability, and not take damage. So I come out behind in that exchange. I could play Power of the Wild to buff this, make it a 3-4. Then I can actually kill this thing and have 2 health left over. So I think that's actually the right move. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. Kill that thing. It becomes a 6-2, which is kind of scary. So if my opponent uses removal, we're even. We're totally even, because I got rid of a removal card and killed a creature. That's 2 cards of hers. Plus, I played 2 cards of mine, the creature plus the buff. So we come out totally even, so it's fine. And if she doesn't have removal like this, then I can just go boink. Now, if I run into the Demolisher, unfortunately, I will go down to 1 health, and then the hero ability will pick me off. If I leave this alive, then it might get demolished, which is actually very sad. So I am going to silence it. I'm going to use the Spellbreaker for 2 reasons. Number 1, it hits harder. Number 2, I might want the damage version of this later on. So now my opponent can use the Demolisher to deal the point of damage and the hero ability to finish this off. However, that's half of her mana for the turn, and then I have a 4-3 on the board. It's heartbreaking that I didn't have the ability to play the Kodo that turn, because if I could have played the Kodo, then this obviously would have died. Now, what did I take the Kodo over? Oh god, it was over something really good. Crap. I remember it was something like, you know, that was kind of a crazy move. I forget what I took the Kodo over. Anyway, the Kodo's not super great right here, unfortunately, because this is obviously going to trade into my Berserker and be gone from the board. And it's not super likely that what my opponent plays will be Kodo-able. It's possible, though. She could play like a Mogashan Ward, and that would be really great.
What to do?
Okay, my opponent is just a really slow player, making very obvious plays here, but taking half an hour to make them. Best card she could have here is a Frostbolt. She does not have the Frostbolt. That is fine by me. Let's go ahead and swing. Play the Warden that I just drew, and pass the turn. This Warden, probably not the greatest right here, because there's nothing really to protect. I mean, this guy is on an empty board. However, whoa! Polymorphing my Spellbreaker. Holy monkey Jesus. It's interesting. It suggests she doesn't have Flame Strike, because if she did, she'd want to polymorph this, because right now this is surviving Flame Strike. This is actually really awkward. I don't want to play any of my creatures. I don't want to waste this. I don't want to waste this, for sure. I have nothing to remove. I guess I'll play Loot Hoarder. So now that I have nothing better to do with my mana, I might as well do the thing where I, you know, spend 2 mana, make her spend 2 mana, and get my card back. It's not getting me ahead, it's not getting her behind, but I had nothing better to do there. I don't want to waste my creatures. Later in the game, it's okay to play creatures and waste their battle cry, but not here. This really could be quite relevant. Wow, my opponent's just going to pass the turn. Oh, no, sorry. What am I? I'm dumb. That was from my Loot Hoarder. I'm dumb. Never mind. Right, there's the spell power. That is going to get Kodo'd. Kaboink. And with 2 mana, let's just do this. Notice an interesting thing about Naturalize, by the way. It says your opponent draw 2 cards. It's not the creature's owners draw 2 cards. I think this card would probably be grossly overpowered if it was said, you know, destroy a minion, its controller draws 2 cards, because then you could just, like, play swarm creatures, like an Imp Master, and then kill your Imp and draw 2 cards. That would be silly. Alright, my opponent's going to use the Owl to silence the taunt. Alright, that's fine, I suppose. Just going to polymorph my Kodo. Wow. Alright, can I win this game? I need to actually check. I've got 3 damage, 4/5, 10. This is 7 of my mana. Yeah, that's it. Well, hang on, I can actually do this. That's probably more damage, huh? We'll do 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13. Ah, nuts. Can't quite get the win. I don't have enough mana. Alright, well, what we're going to do then is we're going to run a sheep into the owl, because it's going to die to the hero ability anyway. We'll preserve the health on that guy in case of Flame Strike. Going to hero up and swing. And we're going to just pass the turn here, honestly. I'm not that worried about my opponent playing life-gaining cards, because life-gaining cards don't impact the board much. So basically, on my next turn, I can, like, I mean, I got a lot of burn here. Druids, after the nerfs to Wrath and Starfall, aren't the greatest at doing stuff, but dealing damage directly to their opponent's faces. But here, it seems totally fine. Okay, Force of Nature. Ah, geez, this is getting really crazy. Let's think. I could actually naturalize this. Let's see if I can win the game. So if I naturalize this, I have 8 mana to work with. This is 6 of it. I'm pretty sure that's the most I could do. This is 6. So 6 damage, 7 damage, 8, 9 damage. Yeah, if I'd been a little bit more aggressive last turn, I could win, but I don't have quite enough to win here. So what we're going to do, I think, is, let's swipe this thing. That deals a damage to my opponent. Let's actually go ahead and put this down and do this. So now, my opponent is dead to a Starfire. So my opponent would absolutely have to have healing to the tune of at least 4. So actually that's just like a Priestess of Elune or bust. And then also have taunt and removal for my guys. Because even if she has a Priestess of Elune that only goes up to 7 health, this is 5. Either of my creatures would then land the killing blow. So I took it a little bit slow here. Had I played out more stuff earlier, I could have caught back up. But just in case my opponent had something crazy, I figured I'd play it slow, because I had a pretty reasonably good chance of being able to just grind the win out. I have actually lots of direct damage here. Oh my god, I'm going to be excited for this game to be over, because my opponent is so slow. Alright, she's got +2 spell damage. She's going to deal Frostbolt for 5 damage, okay. She's going to hero ability to finish this off, I assume, and then Starfire, and then GG. Okay, let's move along here. As always, we're gonna... God, this game was so slow. Oh, Jesus. Oh, man, I feel... You know what? I feel really guilty now. God. My opponent thought I was saying well played because she thought that was like a good play, you know, freezing this creature. I'll say well played again. Nope. There we go. Yeah, maybe my opponent will think that I gave her a well played for making a good play and then another well played for ending the game. Okay, anyway, that was nice and slow. As always, we're going to play 2 games here in this video. And if you're enjoying how the arena is running, then do please, by all means, stick around, and the remainder of the games will be posted soon. This is a format I like, because some people, you know, want the shorter videos there. However, one thing I should mention, I've been having a little bit of trouble with my mic. I actually work from home as a living as a teacher. I teach online classes, and my mic is totally fine when I teach online. For some reason here, just with the open broadcasting software that I'm using, I'm having a hard time getting the microphone level set. So it's either like too quiet or I get distortion. So please bear with me. I am trying to figure it out. Maybe I'll just get like a quote-unquote professional mic or use a different way of recording videos. We'll see. So I'm just still experimenting with my setup, trying to get it to work. Alright, so here, no need to coin out this Power of the Wild, I don't think. I mean, I could, just to be able to trade with his 2-drop. What am I doing on my next turn? Well, on my next turn, I can actually Hero Ability Moonfire, kill a thing. You know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be a little bit aggressive. I found that sometimes I'm a bit too passive with using the coin. You know, here, like, if there's been a couple of games where, like, I don't coin it out, because, you know, on principle, I have nothing to do the next turn, so there's no need to coin. But then, like, my opponent plays something, and I can't kill it, so I fall behind because I didn't play out of my creature, and it just gets kind of ugly. Okay, anyway, here we're going to use the hero ability to kill this guy off. Because of the armor gain, I don't lose anything for killing off his Trumper Nuggets. Our hero abilities actually kind of counter each other. He spends 2 mana to put a 1/1 on the board, I spend 2 mana to kill it, lose no life, it's totally fine. So now, I did have something good to do on turn 2. That's nice. Questing Adventurer. Oh, that needs to die. That needs to diddly die. I could run into it with my Panther, but I think there's really no reason to do that. Let's just go ahead and Moonfire. Nobody ever sees it coming. It's like the Spanish Inquisition. And I'm actually really glad I made this Panther on... I'm really glad I made this Panther on turn 1 with the coin. I think that ended up working, and I think it was also the right play. I think I've learned a little bit about being a little bit too passive with my coin. I've dealt a lot of damage to him, and I was able to do... I had stuff to do on both my turns. He spent his whole turn killing my creature. That is fine. We're going to do this. And I'm not going to actually... Well, actually, I need to think about this. Hang on. If I play this, it wastes the battle cry, but then it does make my Frostwolf Warlord a little bit bigger, a 7/7 rather than a 6/6. If I wait till next turn, this is just a 6/6, and I can't play this and the Frostwolf Warlord. I'm actually, though, I'm not going to get greedy, because Paladins have a hard time dealing 6 damage. Difference between 6 and 7, I hope won't be that big of a deal. His best out is Humility, and if this guy gets humiliated, I don't really care how much health he has. The awkward thing about this is normally you can counter Humility with Silence, but unfortunately, if you silence the Frostwolf Warlord, it also silences the battle cry, so he goes back to being a 4/4, not a 6/6.
Let me think.
Alright, my opponent has another Hammer of Wrath. I'm actually just totally fine seeing this. Yes, he's like killing my creature and not losing a card, so it's card advantage for him, but he's also really not progressing the game. Alright, so here, rather than the Frostwolf Warlord, we'll actually go ahead and play Stampeding Kodo. Let's not get too picky about how we use this Kodo. I mean, sure, I could hold out for a Warden or for a Gurubashi Berserker, but that might never be coming, so I'll take my chances here. So next turn, I can actually have a really good turn if this stuff sticks around. I can play Abusive Sergeant and have a mana left over for Frostwolf Warlord. He is a 7/7 after all, And I can have this buff, which is really good when you have a 1/1 on the board. I can like trade into a 3 toughness creature, which is quite good. Or I can buff the Kodo and kill off something premier like on a 4-drop, like a Chillwind Yeti or Ascension Shieldmaster. Alright, he has no 6 mana plays, which is good. He's going to Blessing of Kings. Well, it kind of works. It does now kill my Kodo. And even with the Abusive Sergeant, it doesn't quite get the job done. So I need to think very carefully here about how to deal with this. You generally don't want to buff on your turn. I have 2 silences in this deck. Sadly, I've drawn neither. Man, you know what would be good? A health buff on this Kodo. So what I could do is I could play the Sergeant, have the Kodo trade. It's not the end of the world. I'm trading a Kodo for a card. So the Recruit himself didn't cost a card, but the Blessing of Kings was a card, so I could do it like that. And then I still play the Frostwolf Warlord. Alternatively, I could swipe this and, you know, finish it off with the boar, leave the Kodo on the board. But let's take this opportunity, actually, to kind of replace my Kodo with a bigger creature. Any other options? Wrath. We'll take it down to 2 health. I can then use the Abusive Sergeant, draw card. Or no, sorry, no draw card. I could take it down to 2 health, Abusive Sergeant. The boar would actually finish this off then. I could leave the Kodo on. No, I want to put the Frostwolf Warlord on. So we have to do the order very carefully. First we do this, and then this. Then we play the Frostwolf Warlord. He's a 7/7. Then I get rid of his Blessing of Kings guy. And then I swing. And then we pass the turn. So now we're going to see if he got a Humility. That's his best out against this Warlord. If this guy gets humiliated, he'll just basically be on recruit killing duty. If my opponent does not have a humility, Paladins, other than Silence, don't have much else to deal with this, and even in Silence, this is still a 4/4. So yeah, my opponent really just needs humility or bust here. He's going to start to be in serious ass trouble very, very soon. Wrath has been nerfed. It no longer deals damage to heroes. This was actually very important, by the way. It's because if Wrath could deal damage to heroes, then it would be strictly better than Shiv, after Shiv got corrected. And if Shiv had to be corrected because it was strictly better than Mortal Coil, so there's like a chain of corrections. The wording on here is a bit imprecise, actually. It says, deal 3 damage to a minion or 1 damage and draw a card. So it sounds like, I mean, if you're going to be a rules lawyer, technically what that's saying is you either deal 3 damage to a minion, or you deal 1 damage to whatever you want and draw a card. I've noticed the rules writing in this game is a bit sloppy. It's not like Magic the Gathering where everything is ultra precise. Okay, there's a flesh-eating ghoul. Let's think very carefully about this situation. Mark of Nature. Oh my gosh. Can I win? Let me take a quick look if I can win here. I've got 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. I can't play this just yet, but in a turn, this is like 17 damage? No, it's not enough. 21. Okay. So, Wrath is good for the ghoul. I could also run my Sergeant into his guy, and then Wrath the ghoul, kill them both, just losing the Sergeant in the process. That leaves me with 3 mana, which I could use to buff my guy and hit really hard. I think we'll do that, actually. We'll do this plan. Yeah, Force of Nature isn't the greatest at dealing with 3 toughness creatures. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to, we're going to swipe this thing. It's a bit sad using swipe against the Paladin there, because what's great about swipe is that you, get to kill off all of his little minions for free. But I think it was a good use of the card. I have another swipe in the deck, and I'm really threatening to win with Force of Nature right now. Notice how this giant is not super great. Not super great. Alright, he's got a Hammer of Wrath for some damage. He's going to need like a charging creature or something to finish this off. Paladins do not have spells that deal a damage. Consecration. Ah, I see what you did there, sir. I see what you did there. See, I can't even spend all my mana to play this. This giant is not great. Okay, Savage. Oh god. Wait, can I win? No, not this turn. Because this is 6 plus 3 is 9 mana. I will win next turn, I'm pretty sure. This is 6 damage, 7 damage. So I don't win this turn, but what I'm going to do is just, this is actually kind of sad. I'm going to just Hero Ability. Pass the turn. So I'm basically threatening to Pyroblast my opponent here. This is going to be 6 damage, plus another 8 is 14. So my opponent either needs Taunt or bunches of life gain. Which, actually, if he does play like a Sunwalker here, or like a Tyrion Fordring, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble if I don't draw my silences. Alright, that's not a taunt. I'm fine with that. That's not a taunt. He should have played this first, because drawing a card is much more useful than dealing a point of damage to me. And that's not a taunt. Okay, well, that game, maybe I played the swipe a little bit fast and loose. Who knows? But we get to win here, so this is totally fine. Let's go ahead. Starfire, even more insurance. Alright, so there's the trees, and then Savage Roar. And we are dealing a lot of burn damage. A total of, what is that, 12, 14? Yeah, 14 damage. Did I say, oh god, did I say well played? I think I did. Did I? Oh, I really feel like a bad person if I didn't say well played. Anyway, that was a good game. We're kind of burning our opponents out here, so this is like a Druid burn deck, it turns out. And that's 2 games. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do click the like and or subscribe buttons that you see on the screen. And if you want to see the rest of the run, well, by golly, it's coming up soon. I'll see you then. Oh, no, I don't want to... I'll see you soon, I said.